It's beginning.
Hundreds of people are busy preparing the estate.
For a new season full of challenges and adventures. Over 1 million people are on their way to see the ferocious
And the friendly creatures that make up the collection. Here you go.
We're back this spring to show you exactly what it takes to look after over 1,000 different exotic creatures.
From the excitement of each new arrival to every joyous birth and, of course, tragedy.
So please, join him
And her as we catch up with some old friends and meet some new ones this Easter.
We're going to invite you back to
Animal Park.
We've been at the park to capture extraordinary moments as the seasons change and the park springs into action after a long winter. Coming up today,
The park's lazy lions go bonkers for some boxes.
Someone's got stuck right into their box there.
we catch up with our old friend, Anne the elephant, and the animal osteopath who's determined to help her.
It looks easy, but she's pushing quite a lot of weight against me.
And tragedy hits the penguin colony as a killer infection strikes.
They've hatched these birds out of eggs and they're dying in their arms.
It's now over 50 years since the safari park opened with the original aim of making enough money to keep this old house from descending into rack and ruin.
Over that time, they've bred and kept just about every animal imaginable, from tigers to leopards, chimpanzees, and you remember the elephants?
I do remember the elephants. Then there was buffalo, even baboons.
But in that time, there's one creature they've never bred until now.
5 years ago, cheetah arrived at the park for the first time in years. They settled in well, and last year we found out just how impressive the world's fastest land mammal really is.
Go, 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 go! Look how go!
That was amazing. They both ran for it straight away. That was so good, so good.
But the big hope was that these incredible animals would breed, because cheetah are highly endangered. Sadly, the keepers had seen no evidence of them mating. Then one morning last September, Wilma had a surprise for her keeper, Laura.
I went up to the house to do my morning checks, as usual. As soon as I opened the door, Wilma came straight over and I just saw them on the floor behind. So I shut the door and radioed senior people and was just like, there's babies, oh my God.
Wilma had given birth to 3 cubs, 2 boys and a girl. It's the mother's job to raise the cubs, so father, Carl, was kept separate. Team leader, Amy, installed cameras to keep an eye on them.
Oh, how cute, eh? So adorable. I just love them, just love them.
It's great that we've finally managed to get them breeding, even though we didn't know they'd she got pregnant.
Yeah, very sneaky.
But there was a serious side to monitoring the footage too. 90% of cheetah cubs die within the first 3 months. In the wild, over half are lost to predators such as jackals and lions. But there and here in captivity, the pool of available bloodlines is so small that cheetah have very weak immune systems. The slightest infection can be fatal. Before they were even a week old, it was clear one of the little boys was failing to thrive.
Unfortunately, after a couple of days, we realised that one of them was very weak and wasn't suckling and hadn't actually eaten anything at all.
Intervening at this early stage could cause Wilma to abandon the other cubs altogether. All the keepers could do was hope that he would start to feed by himself.
It's very much touch and go, and until they're a month old, we don't know whether they're going to survive or not.
The team knew the death rates were high, And sadly, in this case, they were proved to be true.
We came in one morning and unfortunately he'd passed away overnight.
It's been stressful every single day because, you know, it's always a worry that they might not make it past day 1, day 2, and you don't know what could happen. You have no idea what could happen, so I'm always worried about them, but
Just taking each day
as it comes.
day by day.
But would those shocking odds claim another young life? As the days slowly passed and became a week, and then a fortnight, thankfully the 2 remaining cubs continued to thrive. They became known as Poppy and Winston. Mum Wilma was instinctively doing all the right things, feeding, bonding and nurturing her little ones.
She's just taken it on board so quickly and so well, and she's an incredible mum for a first-time mum, so incredible. This is the dream. This is what I live for every day, and to know that she feels safe enough and trusts us enough that she thinks this is a safe place for her to bring up babies is amazing. It is so rewarding to know that we're doing a good job.
Now a month old, the keepers could finally take a breath and enjoy these special new arrivals.
Easter is here, and the park is bursting into life. Today, as well as introducing you to the latest arrivals, we'll also be catching up with babies from last year. Look! I've fallen in love. Kate's beginning down on the lake.
Last summer when I was here, I timed my visit to Half Mile Lake absolutely perfectly because there had been a new sea lion pup born just days before. So I'm out on the boat on Half Mile Lake with Amy to catch up on that little one. Who you called Roo, I gather.
Roo, yeah, baby Roo.
Baby Roo.
Baby Roo.
Why Roo?
She was a bit of a rascal for the keepers,
Right.
and she does like to bounce around quite a lot up on the sea lion beach over there.
Is that her there?
Yep.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
look at her. She's looking lovely and
Yeah.
plump and,
Oh,
and-
very.
and very
Yeah.
well. So Mum's
Very.
obviously done a great job.
Yeah, Mum's done a brilliant job with feeding, and she has Auntie Nancy, who does a lot of babysitting for
Oh,
her.
does she? Oh, and is that Dad?
That's Daddy, that's
isn't
Buster,
it?
yeah,
Big
proud
Buster. Oh, it's fantastic to see them. Are you doing a little bit of feeding?
I am doing a bit of feeding,
Okay.
yeah.
Can I give you I love doing this.
Yeah.
So just literally just chuck one out.
Smelly sprats, just
Here we
chuck
are.
them out and hopefully it should prize them down.
Woohoo.
There we
Here they
go.
come. Oh, right, then there you go. Now, Roo at the moment is not showing any interest at all, is she?
She's a baby, so she's very dependent on milk and sleep at the moment.
Yeah.
But hopefully, this time next year, she will be over here with these guys.
I mean, presumably that's where the relationship with her mum comes in,
Yeah.
because her mum will kind of show her the ropes, will she?
And because obviously her mum comes to feed from the boat, she will trust that that is a safe thing to do.
Yeah.
And she will follow in her mum's footsteps and her greedy dad's. Here we are.
In the 8 months since I first met baby Roo, she has doubled in body weight. The rate of change in cheetah territory has been even greater. Cheetahs are the fastest growing of all cats, and by 2 months, these two are already the size of a small dog.
They are still feeding from mum, but they're starting to pay more interest in what she's doing. So when she's eating off of the floor, they'll lick what she's been licking, they'll eat off the bone. They won't eat too much, but they are starting to pay more interest in it.
Their personalities are starting to develop, and Laura thinks young Winston is the one to watch.
He's the naughtier one of both of them, really. He's quite cheeky, and he's already starting to show that. He's trying to steal from mum, as you can see. But she's really, really patient with him, which is really good. She is letting him steal a little bit.
Poppy is generally the more cautious of the two, but it looks like today she is taking her first big step to becoming a true carnivore.
This is the first time she's actually started to take the meat as well, which is really cool. She's obviously been watching the whole time and has now just got brave enough to go and see.
Shockingly, in the last 100 years, the worldwide population of cheetah has dropped by 90%. The parents are both part of an international breeding program and were brought to the park from a special conservation project in South Africa. making our cubs extremely special. The keepers at the park must do everything they can to protect Poppy and Winston, which is why, just like domestic cats, they too must have inoculations before they can go outside. Lead keeper Caleb and the vet team have assembled at the cheetah house.
The plan is to move Mum across so she's the pen away from them, because obviously we don't want her to not be within sight of them because they might, you know, panic a little bit. So we'll move Mum across as calmly as possible, try and catch them. But as you can imagine, even at 8 weeks old, these cheetah cubs are extremely fast and extremely capable of doing some damage. You're all right, sweetheart. Good girl, well done.
With Wilma safely in the next pen, it's time to try and get hold of the cubs.
All right. Semi got it, yeah.
Winston is first. Holding him tightly by the scruff of the neck, as his mother would, is the best way to control him, but also to keep him as calm as possible.
Just push it down.
All right, good little boy. All right.
Now it's Poppy's turn, the supposedly quieter twin.
It's incredibly strong, you can sort of feel its power. All right.
Maybe.
All done, the cubs are quickly reunited with Mum.
As soon as they'd gone back in with Mum and they realised that Mum was there to protect them, they're completely calm again, and they're almost going back to sleep in the back corner there now. So, yeah, they're all fine now.
And we'll be back as Poppy and Winston begin to explore the great outdoors.
Joining Kate and I again this Easter is Jean Johansson. She'll continue to help the keepers find new ways to keep the animals at the park busy and well fed. Her first appointment is with a mob of nosy meerkats.
Looking after the meerkats can be a real challenge. They're fast and determined, which means getting them to spend time hunting for their food can be over as soon as it's begun. So today we're going to try something to try and make feeding time last a little bit longer. Kat, what's the plan?
I've actually got an ostrich egg here.
Why have you got an ostrich egg?
By giving them an ostrich egg, it'll hopefully make them work a little bit harder. So we've actually drilled some holes into this one.
Oh yeah, there's some mealworms in here.
So we've got some mealworms in there already. I've got some more, if you fancy kind of putting some in
we'll
for
put
me.
Some more in
and
here.
it is, yeah, just one or two.
Yeah. So we want the food to be spread out more evenly rather than just for one.
Just
and you're
for one.
hoping that this egg is going to do the trick.
Hopefully.
So what should we do? Place it down here?
Yeah, let's place it down for them.
Let's try and lure them out. Will you give them your special call? I know you've got a special call, Kat, and I'll sprinkle around some mealworms.
You can see our little ones coming over now.
There's something nice in there. There's something nice in here. Oh, he's having a good go at that. We're really seeing him working with that egg. His nose is going in the hole so he can sense that there's a treat in there.
So you can see that already the little ones are kind of sussing things out and sticking their noses to know that the smell is there. They're actually really, really good diggers. So with the egg being rolled around, they'll be able to put their little claws in and hopefully pull out the mealworms.
So it's really working. It's a great enrichment for them. They're very curious. I can see little noses going in all the holes there.
Naturally, meerkats would probably come across lots of eggs in the wild, so it's really nice to be able to mimic what they would naturally come across. Not often they would find an ostrich egg that they wouldn't get.
It's really everything we wanted to see from this exercise, and if they've got something like this to work with, naturally feeding and hunting for food will take a little bit longer.
Indeed, yeah, and that's exactly the result that we wanted, so it has, yeah, it's been awesome.
Over 100 staff come to work each day to help care for over 1,000 animals. It's their job to work out what's needed to help them live a long, happy life, no matter how big the task in hand. Last year, we told you the painful, but thankfully now heartwarming story of Anne, Britain's last circus elephant, who came here for retirement free from cruelty. Since then, the keepers have remained committed to her rehabilitation, and she's continued to surprise everyone with her progress. But it hasn't been easy. Now in her 60s, Anne is one of Europe's oldest elephants. She had spent most of her life in the circus, leaving her traumatized and mistreated. She could barely lift her trunk. In 2011, she arrived at Longleat under police escort and soon moved into her own purpose-built retirement home, complete with large grass paddock, sand pit, pool, and most importantly, a team of keepers dedicated just to her. They have worked tirelessly to improve her body and mind. It's beginning to pay off. She now has full use of her trunk and even seeks interaction with her keepers.
Have a good night. You get some more.
But as the years march on, there's a serious yet familiar condition they must help her with.
Well, with Anne's age, the specific problems that we've got with her as an individual are her back legs. She is arthritic, we are aware of that. You cannot just get rid of arthritis. It's one of those things you've got to live with, but also you need to exercise as well. You need to get some movement in there. And Anne being Anne, if she can get away with it, she won't do it. So it's just trying to do things like make enrichment or put scatter feeds that little bit further away, so it just promotes her to exercise a bit more without her actually thinking that she's working hard for it, if you know what I mean.
Ross and the team have created a daily exercise routine to help rehabilitate and stretch her limbs.
What we're after is for you to walk over that log without touching it. Can you do that? Let's see.
They place logs for her to step over, encouraging Anne to lift her back legs instead of dragging them.
So, as she walks in, she's quite slow anyway, but her front feet should go over pretty easy. Go on, move up, like so. But you can see the back legs, they kind of drag a bit. She kind of uses that log a little bit at the moment just to get her feet over. Good go, Anne, move up. What would make me happy would be her to hurdle it. But unfortunately, being an old lady and an elephant, that's not going to happen. But what we are trying to aim for is for her to actually lift those feet and use those muscles to lift the feet off the floor over the log. But I think that's going to take some time. But the more we do it, the better she'll get.
It's a complex problem. So they've enlisted the help of an expert in the field, animal osteopath Tony Nevin. He's been treating humans and animals for over 25 years. Clever technology allows him to begin his examination from outside the enclosure.
This is an infrared thermal imaging camera. It basically just reads the heat signature off living tissue. Now, with Anne, we know she's got particular problems, and it's a nice way of looking at her without having to do really invasive tests.
Hot areas show up as red and white. They indicate a loss of blood flow, which can signify pain, while darker colours can indicate a lack of blood flow and potentially different problems.
Her trunk is really hot, which you'd expect. There's lots of muscles in that. Her tail is perpetually cold, so from halfway down it's pitch black. That's something we just want to keep an eye on, because you don't want her bashing the tail and it becoming injured, because she might not be able to feel it as well.
But today, it's the shoulder and hip muscles Tony's keen to work on.
A little bit warm over the base of her, sort of where her spine and pelvis meet. And this is one of the reasons why I want to get her lifting her back legs a bit more, so she's not just working that part of the back, she's actually flexing the legs a little bit more.
With the problem area identified, Ross and Luke start getting her loosened up with a jumbo spa treatment.
We use a pressure washer, so that helps with the muscles and stuff. It just means that we can get that blood flowing, and if she's warmed up, and we can really see then what we need to attack. If anything, any problems, it shows up a bit more when she's had a nice warm bath.
Osteopathy involves the careful manipulation of muscles and joints to try and increase mobility, relieve muscle tension, and enhance blood supply to tissues.
By gently working like this, I can just work with her and see where she wants to lean. Got 3+ ton of animal. How am I going to be able to affect this? So you have to sort of think outside the box and use her weight to do a lot of the work. Now I'm pushing up effectively into her left shoulder at the moment. She's leaning her weight here. She's taking the weight off the left front foot. What this does is it makes it easier for her to move about, but also at rest she uses less energy because she's not holding muscles as tight. It looks easy, but she's pushing quite a lot of weight against me, and I'm locked against this post behind me. So I usually go away thinking that was quite nice, and then the next day I'm a bit sort of achy in certain places.
With the help from Tony and the keepers, the hope is that Anne will continue to thrive for many years to come.
Since Anne arrived here, we have seen her get a lot stronger, both physically but also mentally. The way she interacts with people, she's begun vocalising a little bit. Skin, muscles, everything about her. She's eating well, her teeth are brilliant. She's just an absolute model patient. She's fantastic.
Last series, we brought you the incredible moment when 2 red panda cubs were born at the park. It was particularly good news because red pandas have become so threatened in the wild, they're classified as endangered, with less than 10,000 individuals on the planet. As we're discovering today, all the new babies here have been growing up fast over the winter.
Hi, Sam. Hi. I was expecting wee babies. These all look pretty fully grown. Hello. So, where's our babies? Where's our cubs?
This is Mum, and then we've got Dad in the middle, and this is one of our babies just here at the front.
They're all exactly the same
They
size
are,
almost.
They're absolutely huge. They're growing very fast.
So how can you tell which ones are the cubs and which ones are Mum and Dad?
The cubs have slightly different facial markings. They're also a lot fluffier. So they have kind of like a baby coat. It's very fluffy and very cute. And as they get bigger, they'll molt that out and eventually look like the adults.
So there's 2 girls born?
Yes.
What did you call them?
This is Tika, and the other one is called Pima.
Lovely girls. I know you were delighted when they were born. How important is it to get new cubs?
It's so important. These guys are endangered in the wild. Anything we can do in captivity to boost the population is just so important.
And these cubs will become part of a breeding programme. Tell me how that works.
Yeah, that's right. So we're very lucky. We've got 2 little girls. Females are very valuable for breeding, of course. So when these guys are about a year old, they'll go off to another collection. And hopefully be matched up with boyfriends and hopefully continue the breeding programme. Quite nerve-wracking for me thinking of them going off, but really exciting as well.
Yeah, it's lovely to catch up with them 7 months on. You're doing well.
Last summer, I was also lucky enough to have a close encounter with one of the park's new babies, a hand-reared penguin chick.
Hello. Hello. Want to come here? Hello. There you go. Oh. There we go. And hold it just under my arm.
Yeah, so
oh, look.
There we go.
I've fallen in love. Hello. So who have I got here?
So you've got Echo. And I have got Ant.
Keeper Georgia and her team are responsible for this bustling colony of 34 Humboldt penguins, including 12 breeding pairs and 7 young penguin chicks.
Would you say you have a pretty unique bond with these guys?
Definitely. They talk to us quite a lot. They see us as their parents, effectively.
But last September, tragedy struck. Head of Animal Operations Darren Beasley was forced to close the doors to Penguin Island, while its inhabitants battled a deadly disease.
Some weeks ago, we found a very poorly penguin, and it died. And the instant diagnosis for this particular bird was it had a thing called avian malaria. Now, lots of people know how dangerous it is for humans, but this particular malaria is specific to birds, and in fact, penguins are one of the species that are very susceptible to it.
Harmless to humans, Avian malaria is carried by mosquitoes and can be deadly. Once a bird is bitten, its bloodstream is infected with parasites.
So in here we have Peaches and Penelope. So unfortunately, neither of them can keep food down at the moment, so we're providing them with small chunks or fish soup mixture.
Treating the disease has a severe impact on the immune system, making their resistance to other infections dangerously low.
We got rid of malaria more or less straight away in that first course of treatment, but the birds without the immune system are open to all the other bacteria and germs and things that are in the air. So one by one, they had breathing difficulties or they had some fungus, and it's this horrible decline.
Their enclosure has become a ghost town. Of 34 penguins, just 7 remain.
We've lost so many birds, it's so devastating, and to see your world sort of crumble around you and the heartbreak that causes, it's been a pretty dreadful time. You know, the penguin keepers, they've hatched these birds out of eggs, you know, they've hand-reared them, day and night they've been feeding and rearing and watching and growing, and they're dying in their arms.
For Georgia, every loss is heart-wrenching.
I've spent the last 4 years with the penguins, and they're like my children. People do say don't get too attached to animals, but when you're working with them pretty much every single day of the year, it's very hard not to.
Georgia's closest bond was with Ant, the penguin chick she'd hand-reared since she was hatched.
I spent a lot of time and encouragement with Ant to start eating so she could come and move in with the colony. And she was doing very well.
But Ant was one of the many who didn't make it.
I got very upset when, unfortunately, I found Ant in the morning. So that's the worst loss for me.
Humboldt penguins mate for life, but only one breeding pair remains. Most, like Princess, are now alone.
Princess has unfortunately lost her partner, Yusuba, and also her baby as well. So unfortunately, she's not had a good summer either.
No one can tell us how an animal feels, but Georgia's convinced this colony has been gravely affected.
I believe penguins get sad. They do bray and they do call for their partners a few days after they've lost them.
Experienced keepers like Ryan are on hand to support their colleagues who may be going through this for the first time. He was working with the giraffes in 2013 when a disease hit, claiming 5 of the herd.
When you have an event like this, you know, an illness or sickness or bug, whatever, going through your animals, it is just a horrendous feeling. It's really difficult to keep coming in day after day after day when you really don't know what you're going to walk into. Your focus has to naturally be on the ones that still, you know, have a chance of being saved.
Thankfully, I think with science on our side, you know, we've managed to sort of curtail it. I'm hoping we're through the worst.
Good boy, Nick. Good boy.
Georgia's hopeful that her precious remaining penguins might finally be on the road to recovery.
This is what we want them to be doing. This is natural behaviour. Preening their coats, having a swim and eating food out of the water. And I get very excited every day now if another penguin has started to eat. So it's very encouraging signs that they're getting back to normality.
We've got to pick ourselves up. We've got to say, right, there is a future. You've got to look to next season and breeding. And we've lost so many pairs and so many youngsters from pairs. We have got to rebuild. So, you know, I've put the requests out to all our penguin friends in the UK and Europe, and I'm hoping that we will get birds from other collections and we will rebuild.
Earlier, we brought you some wonderful news. The arrival of the first cheetah cubs to ever be born at the park.
I went up to the house to do my morning checks. As soon as I opened the door, Wilma came straight over and I just saw them on the floor behind. It's like, there's little cheetah babies. Oh my God.
Twins Poppy and Winston are now 5 months old. Now they've had their inoculations, it's only a matter of weeks until they'll come face to face with visitors' cars driving through their enclosure. As they become increasingly independent from their mother, it's important they keep well away from the cars.
Nice and secure.
So Amy wants to encourage them to explore toys in their enclosure instead.
We're all set up, so we've got rope ball up in the tree, we've got a larger tube and a smaller tube all set up around us, so we're ready to let them out, so can't wait.
The twins have never seen anything like this before. It's a huge first step into their life in the safari park. But will they dare to leave Mum and have a play?
Winston's having a good old look. Poppy is as well, actually. They're quite level with the interest. They're sort of scouting around, having a good look, not getting too close at the minute. They're quite happy to actually spread apart. They're not staying together. And Wilma's having a look. She's going for the tube, but it'll probably take a bit longer just to get their confidence of the new smells around it, just checking it out, making sure it's nothing that's going to do them any harm.
There's nothing like a tantalising treat to encourage adventure. So Amy left some chunks of meat for them to find. Wilma has caught the scent and is showing her babies the way.
She's found the meat and the cubs have literally just ran up. This is really exciting. I think the little tube will help as well because it's a bit smaller, so they can see out the other end a bit clearer, and hopefully they'll build the confidence on that one. Poppy's running through the tube. And one of them's just gone through the big tube as well. Oh, this is great. And out the other side, yay!
It's not just the cubs' development that is significant. This is also an important day for Mum, Wilma. Loosening the apron strings isn't easy, but she seems happy to allow her growing cubs a bit more freedom.
She was the first one up there, but she's now relaxed and just letting them play. She's watching, she's having a good roll around as well, and they keep going up to her and just making sure that they're okay to go back and play again. It's building their confidence all the time. Great success. Wilma's enjoying it, and both cubs are having a great time up there. And it's great for us to watch. It really is great for us to watch. This is what we come to work for.
The keepers will spend the next months testing a whole range of new ideas on these cats. Some of the big cats have been at the park for 20 years, so the variety of enrichment ideas needs to be huge. We've asked Amy to meet us over with some of the bigger, older residents to find out why it's so important to keep those ideas coming.
These guys trash a lot of things that you spend a long time making.
Oh, it takes us a very long time to make anything, and yeah, within a few minutes they can destroy it.
And obviously coming up with enrichment ideas is really fun, doing them is really fun, but it is very good for the animals themselves as well, isn't it?
Definitely, not just for their minds, so stimulating their minds, but also for their muscles. It's very important. Lions are quite lazy, so they're sitting around, they're not doing a lot during the day.
Yeah.
So it is very important to get them moving and get them using their muscles.
So it's actually, effectively, it's making them do a bit more than their food than just sort of lie around and it be delivered.
Exactly, exactly.
Well, Amy has challenged her team to come up with a completely new, big idea that will encourage their natural hunting instincts. And Jean has headed over to see how it goes.
Oh, wow. This looks amazing, Eloise.
Yes.
What a big operation. Tell me how this is going to work today.
So we've brought in lots of boxes, which we've filled, some with which have got meat in, some have just got straw in with a little bit of blood as encouragement, and then just a couple of scattered pieces around as well.
So most people would think of lions as being great hunters, you know, king of the jungle, prowling around to find their food, but they actually do a lot of scavenging.
Yeah, definitely. They're not actually that great at hunting. African wild dogs and cheetah are much better at hunting than them, so they will actually scavenge from the food that those animals can hunt and kill. Also hyenas, they'll scavenge from them. The only animal that they can't actually take meat from is leopards, because the leopards take the meat up the tree.
Hopefully they're going to smell this meat, come bounding over the hill and go for it.
Definitely.
And of course we've also got our trusty log cam. That's going to be picking up all the action, so good luck. Right, are we ready to go?
Yes, we're all good.
Oh, here they come. Oh, what an amazing sight.
Some of the girls coming up, and we've also got Simba, one of the big boys just behind them, so he's a lot quicker than normal.
And someone's got stuck right into their box there.
Just pulled the box open. They're definitely going for the boxes quickly.
You said you've never done this before, so they wouldn't know what the boxes are, but they've just gone right in there. Is that their sense of smell?
Yeah, they'll definitely be able to smell the meat.
Oh, Klaus is not happy.
Just flung a box into us. Got Jumba jumping up now. Oh, not quite.
Good to see them using those jumping skills as well.
Oh, you can see Simba's getting a little bit aggressive.
Oh, could that be a little bit of competition for food?
He's trying to figure out which is the best box to have.
We've got this big box right here with quite a lot of meat in it, but for some reason none of the lions have gone for it. Oh, is that someone coming towards it now?
It's time to
just sniffing round it. In you go.
Although they are kings of the jungle, is what they get called, they are still very cautious. They do want to survive. They don't know what's going to be in that, so anything new, they're always a bit like, what's going on?
Oh look, they've knocked over log cam. So the fact that they're not getting into this box right away is delaying their feed a little bit, so that's good for them.
Yes, definitely. The day is more exciting for them, which is what we want. We want them to have an enriched day. Normally they will sleep, but they might just keep scavenging because they might think there's more out there. And Tana's come back to this box, so she knows that there's definitely something in there.
Yeah,
she's just a bit more cautious of it. There you go, she's found a piece.
She got the prize.
Well done.
It's great to see this pride displaying some of the behaviours they would as scavengers in the wild.
Back now to Penguin Island, where the process of rebuilding the colony has begun. In the end, only 6 survived the outbreak of avian malaria. But other collections did answer Darren and George's call for help. And now, there are 7 new mouths to feed.
As soon as we got the penguins, we brought them in and mixed them immediately with our original penguins. We just let them settle in and get used to their new friends, leaving them alone to get used to the enclosure inside as well.
Until today, they've remained indoors. But the time has come for Georgia to try and lure them outside.
Hello. Some of the new penguins are getting more confident coming over to us and feeding from our hands.
But they're not all keen to explore.
I think it's going to take a while. It's going to take quite a long time to get them used to coming outside. Bruno, come on in. Good boy, Django. They are very curious, penguins are, and they like to explore new areas, but it will take a while for them to pop their head outside. Penguins, come on! We've got Darwin. Darwin's only a chick, so he's about 9 months old now. He's very friendly. Darwin, come on. You gonna have it if I throw it? Catch it. Good boy. And Flower as well. She's a little bit delicate. Flower's being brave. You gonna come out? Yeah. Well done. Well done. It'll be really interesting when it does come to breeding season what will happen, because there are some original penguins that don't have mates. Now, we do have more girls than boys, but that does give the opportunity to the boys to have a partner each, so that the males aren't fighting over females. However, the females do fight over the boys.
Whoever they end up with, the team are hoping that for some of the breeding pairs, it will result in the tiny patter of penguin feet.
Once one penguin, a couple starts mating, it sets off the rest of them. So it will get the ball rolling and hopefully they'll choose their set partners.
With an expanding population to plan for, the penguin team once again have a future to look forward to.
We've got a blooming good set of keepers here, you know. For them to be dragged emotionally through what they've been, to see them get through that and the strength that they have together, I'm really proud.
As much as we'll always remember our original penguins, they were like our children and our grandchildren, we'll have that again eventually.
One of the greatest privileges for Kate and I working on Animal Park over the years is when we're introduced to new baby animals. And today is no different because we have come up to meet Amy and these two magnificent cheetah, Winston and Poppy.
Look at them with their little Mohicans. Hello, sweethearts.
Now, grumbling over here, is this Mum?
This is Mum.
She's being very protective. I mean, they are fantastically protective, aren't they, as mums?
Yeah, incredibly. She's been an absolutely amazing mum so far. Yeah, first time for her. Amazing that she's done so well.
So how old are Winston and Poppy now?
So they're 5 months old now.
Oh, and I love the fact that they've got these little Mohicans and they last for quite a long time.
They do,
they?
yes. They're starting to go, which is very cute.
So which one's this one?
So this is Winston.
Hello, Winston. And is he the braver one?
He is the braver one.
And have they got very distinct personalities already?
Yes, completely. Winston would do absolutely everything.
Yeah.
But Poppy does. She does come over eventually. She will also follow Winston, but he is always the first one to come over.
And, I mean, from a sort of conservation point of view, cheetahs are very endangered in the wild. Winston and Poppy are really important to the future of the species, aren't they?
They're very important. Mum and Dad, Wilma and Carl, both came from Africa, so we're finding homes for them already. People want them.
Really?
They're that important that they'll carry on breeding.
I was going to say, so you can carry on breeding from them. This is a genetic line that they can help extend.
Definitely.
I tell you what, I'm going to stay here and do a little bit of bonding with these absolutely gorgeous and incredibly important cats. You guys are the future. You know that. And you can all find out what's happening on the next Animal Park.
The team attempts to stop a killer disease in its tracks.
Most of the things in here will either jump on you or eat you. It's a huge undertaking.
Jean must perform a pedicure on the pygmy goats, but she's got to catch them first.
Oh, who's that?
Steady, steady, steady.
And the park are on tenterhooks as a critically endangered calf is born.
You just can't guarantee anything.
There's all that and more coming up on the next Animal Park.